Dana White's Contender Series 2023 week number 5. This is the weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. Looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on the card after seeing the fighters on the scales. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure to share the video as well. And also note, I will be live for the entire Dana White's Contender Series fight card Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't miss the fight companion. And let's get into the first fight. We have Dione Barbosa versus Rainn Guerrero. I'm going to be picking Barbosa to win the fight, but I'm going to throw out a bit of a yellow flag for the potential betting side. She is taking this fight on very short notice, about a week's notice for this matchup here against Guerrero. Yes, Barbosa is the more credentialed fighter. She's beaten decent opposition. I mean, you dig into it. She has a win over Silva, who's in the UFC, a loss to Josiana Nunes, who's a good fighter, and even Jenna Bishop, who's now a Bellator fighter and very strong on the floor. Barbosa has a judo Olympic base, also a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and a grappling champion. Guerrero doesn't have the same level of technical abilities that Barbosa does have. But what she has that's concerning, if you're going to be throwing down on Barbosa and just in general with the fight, is the fact that she is in good shape. She's been prepared for this opportunity. She's not taking it on a real short notice spot. She's got that dog in her too. She's strong on the inside with the clinch. She has good takedowns in her own right. And she can mix it up with the striking as well. Now, I feel as though Barbosa's technical tools are just clearly better to me watching them both fight. I look at the style of Barbosa. She can bring that smothering attack that Guerrero can also, but she has more technical tool sets. She's got more sharp blades with those tools, specifically in the takedown game. She throws like a nice right hand into a trip takedown, which I like a lot. She's confident on the floor, and it's going to be very hard for Guerrero to take Barbosa down. How Barbosa loses this fight is if she gasses out. But I have to believe that she's going to come into this fight, even on short notice. I guarantee you she's full-time training. I mean, she's making a run at the high levels of MMA. She's fighting in LFA, obviously clamoring at the bit to get in the UFC here. So I do think she's going to win. I think she's going to be able to technically outstrike a Guerrero, being Barbosa, land takedowns, control from top, and I feel like she can get a decision over the very game Guerrero. Now, saying a decision for a short notice fighter gets me nervous because I could see Guerrero coming on strong towards the second half of the fight, late in the second round, flurrying some punch combos and landing. She does have a nice ducking overhand. She's a strong girl too. And if you look, Dione Barbosa was taking down Josiana Nunes and was able to get on top and have some successful moments. She got out-dogged, really. Nunes ripped her with hard punches, put her down against the cage, and then ground and pounded her out of there. So Guerrero, the risk factor for Barbosa's side will be if Guerrero comes on real strong late and Barbosa's got nothing in the gas tank because she took this fight on very short notice. Now, let me bring up the face-off between these two, both of these ladies on weight. No issues here. Let's look at them facing off. You can recognize both girls, similar builds. From this angle, I mean, you can say Guerrero might be a slight bit denser with her muscle tissue and maybe slightly more physically conditioned because she's had a full camp as opposed to Barbosa, who didn't. It's because of the technical game that I see with Barbosa. She should be able to put it into work and get a win here. But note something. The betting side we're going to bring up. And when I talk betting, I'm going to bring up some betting notes on Dana White's Contender Series. First fights of the night. The first ones have been a lot of underdogs. So I almost picked Guerrero for the simple fact of, you know what? Dog, first fight of the night, go Guerrero. But I don't want to do that when I feel like her opponent, Barbosa, is the better technical fighter. And if she is in decent enough shape, I really think she could win here. She could win. But it's so concerning saying could. So this is how I'm going to talk about it. Minus 325. I would not throw that down for Barbosa. If you're on the betting side, I'm going to make you this. I think you go towards dog or pass betting side. So for the bettors out there that are throwing down on this one, plus 250 for Guerrero with the possibility, right? First fight of the night, dogs win a lot in Contender Series. Guerrero is tough and has fucking grit, and she can go in there and make it a dangerous and long fight. She's plus money. She took the fight with a full camp. Barbosa short notice, plus 250. So I don't want to bet Barbosa. I won't be. I wouldn't throw in a parlay. At the end, we'll talk parlays, and I won't use Barbosa's name in it. I can't do that. Probably goes over. But what happens if Guerrero swarms her and potentially TKO'd her, which doesn't seem crazy? Plus 1,200 is a Guerrero TKO. So the betting side would be more of a dog stab position because I see with the short notice factor, if we got full camps for this fight, if it's full camp, I know Barbosa's prepared specifically for this matchup. I would be like in the 70-something% confidence range, which I would be like, I'm pretty fucking confident she's going to win. But the fact that she doesn't have that full camp drops my confidence to 55%. And when you're in a spot where you got minus 325 as the favorite to a plus 250, the possibility of the dog winning, odds-wise, is low betting. But in actuality, I'm seeing a potential coin flip fight. So give me Barbosa the pick, but I understand and I am intrigued by the dog betting side too. I'm not going to go put Barbosa as the lock parlay piece and then you lose it all when she's gassed in the third round and gets TKO'd. If you're looking for value side, Guerrero's that side. Barbosa the pick, but not an appealing bet. And I will predict this is a very close fight and Barbosa winning it, out-dogging Guerrero. I've got her on a decision. I could see 29-28. I could see 30-27 as well. I'm going to say that Barbosa ends up getting a contract to the UFC because of the short notice. And I'd expect they bring Guerrero back for a gutsy performance. Next fight is Gene Silva versus Kevin Vallejos. I'm going to be picking Vallejos to win this fight. I think he can knock Gene Silva out potentially here. I don't know. With Silva, I like the power Muay Thai style and the fact that he throws very hard shots. He definitely likes the hooks and he's comfortable fighting out of both stances. He has one of those scrapper styles. The dude can mix it up and he brings a high pace to fights and throws volume and he's looking to take your fucking head clean off. He also has a decent guillotine. He's a well-versed MMA fighter, but with Vallejos on the other side, I got the Samurai Fight House double champ. I got a guy who's beaten a UFC vet recently, Eduardo Gargori, who was 14-2 going into that fight, losses in the UFC, not elsewhere. And Vallejos stopped him with some brutal ground and pound after touching him up a bit on the feet. Vallejos can definitely kickbox at a pretty solid level. When I watch his game, I see a lot of talent. Now, the concern is he's only 21 years of age, but I think he can win this matchup with Silva here. He's going to be crisper with his strikes. Having 8 KO wins is huge, and it's because he has heavy power. Watch for the lead hook and also the fact that he knows how to rip his opponent's legs apart. I feel as though Vallejos is going to find the knockout somewhere in the first 2 rounds. So I'm going to go Vallejos to win by KO over Gene Silva. Now, as far as the scales, we'll bring up the face-off. Let's check these guys out here. I got to tell you, I like body language from both. On the side of Silva, he was staring into Vallejos' soul. And even as Vallejos going for the handshake, Silva's just staring him down. It was a menacing face-off. It was a good look. I don't think it's going to matter here because the technically superior fighter, the technician is Vallejos, but he also has the finishing capabilities, the more precise and accurate guy. And on the feet, I think he's going to land the hammer. I think he's going to end up laying Silva out. Silva's not an easy guy to put away. He's got that dog in him. But Vallejos beats him. Vallejos also double champion over at Samurai Fight House. Has fought, in the lightweight division and been successful. I think he's going to beat Silva in this matchup. I feel as though he's getting the KO. I think it's going to happen here. I see it for him. Minus 185, Vallejos. Plus 160 for Silva. Let's look at this here. Vallejos at minus 185 by KO is plus 150. I think it's quite possible. I'm going to say this. I think we end inside of the distance. That's minus 250. I think Vallejos probably gets him out of there. The over-under 1.5, I'm going to lean towards the under at plus money as far as the betting side because I see the possibility of Vallejos stopping him earlier there. Like, Gene Silva to me is good, but I think he gets hit. I think he comes inside at times maybe a little square because he's looking to throw a lot of power in his shots, and I think Vallejos being the faster and more accurate guy is going to hit the target, and I think he's going to get the knockout. So I'm going to say under 1.5. I'm going to say Vallejos to win, and I'm going to call a knockout in this fight here. Liking this matchup a lot. I think this is going to be a pretty banger fight with Vallejos getting it done. I believe in Samurai Fight House in this matchup here. Next fight on the card, featured bout, Chad Hanekom versus Dylan Budka. Can we just take a minute to shout out the nicknames? We got Superman versus the Mindless Hulk. I like that, the Mindless Hulk. He's being creative with it. Now, hopefully it doesn't mean that he's going to have a, bad fight IQ when he's out there, and I don't think Budka will. I'm picking the side of Hanekom, but it's not that Budka isn't a pretty decent fighter. It's more the fact that when I look at Hanekom's game, he's a good grappler with nice takedowns. He controls from the top. He's pretty comfortable in the striking department. If you go back and watch him versus Ikram Aliaskarov in the first round, he was able to get Aliaskarov down. Something that Hamza Chimaev didn't do. He chinned him, but he didn't get him down like that. So Hanekom, the dude can land takedowns. He can grapple from top. He can control guys. And he's also confident in the striking and has knockout ability. Dude, I like this elbow here last fight too. It was sick. Clean elbow on the inside. So it's the dangers of the Muay Thai skill set and the grappling base. I just think it's better than Budka's. When I look at Budka, I do have to admire the low kicks. He does rip opponents' legs apart fairly well. I would say he's a pretty solid kickboxer overall, but does well when he's able to bully his opponents, back them up against the cage, control them, take them down. I can't see him taking Hanekom down. I don't think so. I think you're going to see Hanekom get on top of Dylan Budka. I think he's going to be able to beat him up from that top position. Budka will be a dog. I'm thinking we're going into the later stages. I feel like Budka can go the distance here. I think so. And even this fight here, he fought a dangerous OVEV type situation with Bakayev, and he gave him a fucking hell of a matchup. So Budka's not an easy out, but Hanekom, I think, is going to be that dude here. I see him winning this one. He'll land takedowns on Budka, and I think that will lead him to a decision win and will bring up the scales. And what you'll notice is there is a height differential favoring the side of one fighter, being Hanekom in this matchup. There they go. So bigger guy. From distance, that's a bit of an edge. Only supposedly a half-inch reach advantage, but you never know with the Tapology stats if they're going to be accurate when the UFC measures them. I like Hanekom to win. I think he's going to be able to out-muscle Budka, out-grapple him, even out-kickbox him, and pull it off. Hard 3 rounds, I'm seeing a decision because I don't feel like Budka's an easy guy to get out of there. So I'm going to go Hanekom going long in respects to Budka's durability. Now, the odds are interesting. You can find Hanekom as a slight favorite at plus 105, slight underdog at plus 105 into the slight favorite range at minus 117, whereas Budka sits around minus 103 to minus 125. Essentially, we got a real pick'ems matchup with the betting lines. I have to favor Hanekom. Over is minus 185. Decision Hanekom plus 250. I think the Hanekom money line isn't awful. As close as it is with the fight against Ikram Aliaskarov kind of jumping out at me, I think he's going to be able to take down Budka. I'm going to go Hanekom to do it. Listen, we got Gerald Meerschaert in the UFC. Now we're going to have the South African Gerald Meerschaert because honestly, he looks like him in my opinion. I'm going with Superman Chad Hanekom over Dylan the Mindless Hulk Budka. But in the battle of nicknames, Budka's the winner. Hanekom should get the fight though. Hanekom should get the fight. And I do think that depending upon the heat Hanekom can land from the top and how impressive the previous fight is, I don't know for sure if he'll be getting signed to the UFC. Because he's South African, I'll say yes, though. Because they're looking for South Africans. And as far as Vallejos, I didn't say it. If I think he's getting signed or not, I think it's obvious. He's getting signed with a knockout win. Next fight on the card, it's the co-main event of the evening. It's Sidey versus Ramon Taveras, the Savage Taveras. I'm picking Taveras to win this fight. I really feel like on the feet, he's got a special ability. Reminds me of the likes of Masvidal or the Adrian Yanez's. He fights out of southpaw, jabs well to the body, rips nice shots up high with good slickness and pressure that he puts on his opponents. Does have a win over an ex-UFC fighter, Martin Day. Now, Sidey's not an easy guy to face off with. He is, I would say, pretty good in the kickboxing, specifically from the mid-range, and does have some wrestling in the back pocket. I just feel like Taveras can hurt him in the striking and avoid the grappling exchanges. I like the stand-up of Taveras a ton in this fight here, whereas Sidey, who maybe some would consider a, somewhat slick guy on the feet, I don't feel that same level that Taveras has. When you watch them throw, there's a difference in the thud on the shots and the speed of the punches that are coming through. Taveras on the feet, I think, is going to be a lot more dangerous with the hands. And I also feel as though he can stop the onslaught of potential grappling, which is going to come to mind with Sidey if he's unable to get things off on the feet. I'm thinking Taveras is going to chin him. Now, I'm going to bring up the scales, which are concerning for the side of Taveras. And that's why we do the weigh-in show. That's why we talk about how the fighters look on the scales. Because Taveras initially missed weight, he was off by, I believe, a little more than a quarter pound, and then they let him re-weigh in. But let's look at him here weighing in. You can see an obvious deflation in the frame, and the body language isn't great. He's like, fuck. Now, maybe he's pissed as fuck that he's off weight. Maybe he feels awful from having a really difficult weight cut. Could potentially fatigue him in the later stages, which is a bit concerning heading into a fight with Sidey, who has gone the 5 rounds before. So he's got a gas tank on him. Now, looking at the face-off between these two, I feel like Taveras is still going to be there. I think Taveras is going to get in his face and hit him with hard shots. I think he could chin him. Sidey's in great shape, though. And if Taveras isn't, if she's not able to really push a pace for 3 rounds, though I think he can knock out a Sidey, it's not going to be an easy thing to do. I'm going to go Taveras by knockout. I think he sleeps Sidey. But yeah, I don't know. The weigh-ins are concerning, right? I'm not going to say I don't know. I know. I think Taveras has got the tool set to knock out a Sidey, but can he do it under the lights after a troubling weight cut? I'm going to say he can. I'm going to go Taveras by knockout. He did make weight on the second attempt. I feel like he's going to close the gap and chin Sidey. Could see it in the second or third. Could be earlier, too. If you look at Taveras, though, man, like James Dunn, Charles Bennett, Martin Day win. I like the fact that he's got the Day win, and he beat Crazy Horse, and the way he's destroying these guys is impressive. Will Watson's an ex-UFC fighter that Sidey has a win over, too. Yeah, I like Taveras' capabilities more. He's more impressive to watch. He's got more pop in his hands. He looks like the better fighter on the feet, and I think he is. And I feel like when they clash, he's going to be successful and get the knockout shot. He's going to close the distance, and he's going to sleep Sidey. Now, as far as the odds, Taveras is a dog, plus 150. Sidey at minus 175. He actually opened up as a plus 220 underdog, even wider. Under 2.5, minus 185. With a Taveras win, I think we're going under. If Sidey's to win, I could see it going later. Taveras KO plus 350. I think he's getting the knockout. I like the underdog Taveras in this fight. His nickname's the Savage. I think the guy's got a lot of savage in him. I like the boxing tool set. I like the power in the hands. I think he can pull this one off. Regardless of a potentially difficult weight cut, I see him coming in on point for this matchup here and taking Sidey out. So let's go Taveras for the win by knockout in the co-main event. I'm going with the dog there. And as a dog coming in, and if he gets an emphatic knockout, the look that he has and the swagger that I see, absolute Dana White contract signing. Got to have it already saved, written down, because I'm honestly feeling Taveras as a fun prospect to watch in the UFC. I might be looking ahead a little bit, But that's what I see for him. I like the game. I think he's a dangerous guy, and I think he can win this fight here against Sidey. Next fight on the card brings us to our main event. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. We have Bruno Lopes versus Brendson Ribeiro. The pick is obviously Bruno Lopes to win. I think that he's going to be able to destroy Ribeiro on the feet. Lopes is a mean motherfucker. He comes in with a good kickboxing tool set, and it's just an overall experience in fighting. Now, supposedly I heard he's got 20 amateur fights, but they're not listed on Tapology. You can assume in Brazil, the amateur fights that are taking place there are not going to be on Tapology. For all we know, they're not sanctioned fights. But he's got a lot of experience, and you can kind of see his calmness seems like a guy with a lot of fights. Now, he's 11-0 as a pro, which is an amazing record too, and he's got a good amount of pro experience. I feel like his hands are pretty on fire, man. I like the way he closes the distance and works good straight shots. He has a nice jab that he can land, and clearly better on the feet than Ribeiro. I wrote down with Ribeiro, I felt like his kickboxing was more in the okay range. I see shots down the line ripping him apart. I think he's going to get eaten alive with a jab in the striking too. Ribeiro is going to get hurt on the feet, and then he's going to look for takedowns. Bruno Lopes, I think, has sophisticated takedown defensive capabilities. I think he's going to be able to fight the hands against the clinch, against the cage in the clinch if Ribeiro is looking to take it there. Also see Lopes as the physically stronger fighter as well. The takedown defense, the knockout power, and just overall striking capabilities on the feet. I feel like Lopes just has one of those Brazilian kickboxing styles that are enjoyable to watch. It's a good tier, man. At 205, I like his game. 30 years of age is like perfect age for 205 because we've seen champions in their 40s at 205. He's peaking right now. He's got less pro experience than the younger Ribeiro, but 11-0 record. Obviously fine-tuned his game through some, smoker/amateur fights. And Ribeiro on the other side, I think, is getting stopped here. He's been stopped before, over in AMC. Obviously AMC's a dangerous promotion. There's some fucking savages out there. And if you look at the side of Bruno Lopes's wins, I mean, he's fighting over in LFA at this point. And to me, I think that's a positive accolade to bring in. Fighting good prospects in LFA. I think Ribeiro is outmatched in this fight, and I feel like he's going to bed. So we're going Lopes, and we're going to win via knockout. And I think it's going to be a first-round knockout, too. Now, since it's the main event, I will bring up both guys on the scales. And, I think Ribeiro from this picture looks pretty great. He came fucking shredded out. He's ready to rock. Now, on the opposite side, right, we don't have a front double bicep flex for our guy fucking Lopes. Doesn't look as shredded. Doesn't look as aesthetic, but he's not flexing it out. You can see that he's in very good shape for this fight. And at the end of the day, I don't think the physique contest is going to matter in a matchup with a clear difference in the skill and the fact that the physical strength for me also favors Lopes. I feel like with Ribeiro, if you watch his last fight, it was sloppy, man. Grappling exchanges, both guys ending up on their back, getting fucked up with ground and pound. Ribeiro was hurt early in that fight too. Lopes is not letting you off the hook like that. He's getting you out of there. There's a face-off. It's a Lopes knockout. I'll say that it's also a confident call. I think he's pulling this one through. Knockout win. Yeah, he's a favorite too at -600. Is it surprising at -600? No. Ribeiro +425 as the dog. I think Lopes is getting it done by KO. Under 1.5, -210. I think it does go under 1.5. Lopes KO at -120 with the Lopes first round win. +100. That's shit. He's a huge favorite. He's a huge favorite for a reason, though. Lopes is going to run over Ribeiro, and he's maybe one of the more exciting prospects this whole season, as far as the bigger guys, like middleweight and up, I'm intrigued by Lopes's game. I like the Brazilian kickboxing style. I think he's very dangerous, and I think he's going to be impressive here against Ribeiro, and I'm looking forward to seeing this fight, and I'm looking forward to the UFC future of Lopes. Yes, I'm predicting that Lopes is getting signed to the UFC, absolutely. So there is potential for a clean sweep of signings this weekend. Let's see if this week on Tuesday. Let's see if it comes to fruition. Now, we're not done just yet. I do want to bring up the parlays. Let's talk some parlays, guys. Let's parlay things up. Let's see what we got here for this card. All right, so Contender Series parlay that I want to put together. Lopes is the main piece. I don't care. Yes, it's minus 549. I think that it's going to happen. Let's see. What else can we bring in? Do I want an over? Do I want an under? I'm asking myself where my highest tier of confidence shall lie for these fights here. You know what? I guess the truth is I feel like, but Vallejos is 21. The closer line of Hanekom at plus 118. Let's go Lopes, Hanekom. Plus money parlay. This is calling me more so. Now, I was also thinking, all right, Vallejos could be in it. So we'll go with 3-fighter with Vallejos at plus 133. Excuse me, plus 233. These two at plus 118 is intriguing, man. Now, if you want to chase with a little dog money, I think you could go Guerrero, Lopes to get in the plus 300 range. I feel as though, there's definitely a chance for this one to hit. And obviously, Barbosa, the pick technically, but still worth mentioning the potential for Guerrero as an underdog piece to the parlay. So Lopes, the top tier confidence. Hanekom would come next, especially betting specific. And then I'll bring it up with Vallejos, I think can win, but minus 190. And then I got Taveras, who looked iffy on the scales, but I think he's pulling it off, plus 155. I like having a dog in there with some confident winners. Plus 457. This is going to be a dangerous week with the parlays, guys. I'll tell you straight. I think this is going to be warfare this weekend. Plus 1,000 if we ran this up. This is going to be warfare this Tuesday, I should say. Lopes, Hanekom. I feel like, I don't even want to say it's a safe parlay. It's not. It's not a safe parlay. It's not a safe parlay. But I think it comes to fruition. Like, do I want to throw the ladies fight over or the Budka over? It's like, oof. Contender Series is the Wild West, even of MMA fucking betting, guys. Because I feel like you got absolute dog prospect matchups this week that odds-wise, the big confidence is already seen and recognized by the books. The medium confidence at a value line for Hanekom, I think is worth the stab if you are going to be jumping with a part. Not worth the stab, me telling you to bet it, but if you're like, yo, do you really like it? I think it's playable. So I think a Hanekom Lopes parlay at plus money could end up being a bit of a hitter. So I look forward to that. At the end of the day, good card, fun matchups, interesting potential bets, and damn, I can't wait to be live for this entire thing. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this weigh-in recap show for the Contender Series. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn the post notifications on. And if you really enjoy the content, share the video too. I appreciate you all tuning in. Let me know what you think of the picks in the comments. Drop some of your Contender Series picks. Let me know if you agree with my takes. And do you guys got any Contender Series parlays or potential lock picks? I'm curious what the people are thinking. So definitely let your boy know. Much love, my people. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate everybody, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace, everyone.